Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio. And once again, it's time for our Positively Pipeman segment. This is where we give you great business strategies, motivational strategies, empowerment strategies, and much more. And right now, we have our expert resident expert, something like that.
Something like that.
In business and powerful business strategies. And we're going to learn, oh my God, the one we're going to talk about today is exciting for me because just about every business owner experiences that, even the strongest and most positive of us. And so let's welcome to the show, Michael Barbarita. How are you?
Fantastic, Dean. How are you?
I'm doing good, except a little dyslexic today, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, really, huh? Well, thank you for having me. And today I want to talk about something where I'm going to get vulnerable. How do you like that?
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I need to work on this really bad, and I have been. But it does take time, especially when you're 68 years old and you've been doing something for 50 years, the same way. But basically, I'd like to talk today about scheduling freedom. We business owners get caught up in, working more than 40 hours. We get caught up in working a ton of hours because of, the emergency nature of your business, the reactionary nature of your business. And what I want to do today in our segment is talk about 3 fundamental shifts that have to happen. And then I also want to talk about, once you have those shifts in mind, what are the fundamental pillars that you really have to attack, if you will, if you're going to really schedule freedom. And scheduling freedom means being able to having the business, serve you first and foremost, but also serve you to the point where now you have the time to spend, more time to spend with your family. And you could go to your kids' games, you can adjust your schedule anytime you want, and the business is still serving you with the leverage revenue and income that you've always desired. And that's really where I think all of us want to be, certainly where I want to be, and certainly what I'm working towards. And like I said, being vulnerable today, this is something that I'm still in the process of working on. So the 3 fundamental shifts that are needed for scheduling freedom is shift number 1 is going from reactive to proactive. So instead of letting your day happen to you, you design your day around your priorities. So instead of responding to whatever screams the loudest, I think every business owner knows what I mean by that, you focus on what moves your business forward most efficiently. Now, these things aren't easy to do, and we have some pillars of fundamental pillars of success on how to achieve these. But that's mind shift number 1. Mind shift number 2 is going from task oriented to outcome focused, or task focused to outcome focused. So instead of measuring your success by how busy you are, which sometimes we business owners do, I know I do that, you measure it by the results you produce. So instead of wearing your 80-hour work week like a badge of honor, you focus on creating maximum impact with optimal efficiency. It's a little different. And then the third shift is from indispensable to systematic. So instead of being the person who has to handle everything, you become the person who builds systems that handle everything.
Mm-hmm. So important.
Yeah, that's really really critical, because once you build a system that handles something, you don't have to handle it anymore. The time leverage of that one system that you built that handled something that you were handling has an incredible compound effect.
I think you have to trust that system too, because a lot of us as business owners, that system may not do it as fast as you do, or even or as good as you do. And I think you just have to let that go, because you're never going to grow the business. There's only so far you can take the business on your own, no matter how great you are, how talented you are, anything like that. You're only as good as your team, which your system is your team.
Absolutely. And, we talked about mindset shift being one of the critical 5 steps that you have to take in order to implement business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago. And this is part of that shift. And I realize it isn't easy, but it's so very necessary. And building the right system, if you just built one system this month, even if you built one system this quarter, because this is it's October, and this is quarter 4, and if you just built one system, the compound effect of time savings that one system will have is unthinkable. It's unimaginable. So now achieving true scheduling freedom requires mastering 5 fundamental pillars that I mentioned I would talk about earlier. And these really aren't time management tips. These are strategic frameworks that will change how you operate your business. So the first, and this is, I'll tell you, it's hard to get business owners to do this this first thing. And that's what's called a time audit and awareness. So before you can optimize your time, you need to understand where your time is going.
I think people don't want to know that. That's why they don't do it.
I think you're right, but I could tell you something. I came up with an idea this week for a business owner that I've been pounding this into him. Always complains about there's no time. Well, let's see what you're spending your time on. And of course, he came up dry 3 weeks in a row, to which I pounded the table and said, look, he loves his cell phone. Now, most cell phones, if not all cell phones, have recorders on them. So you don't have to write it down. Just talk into the phone what you're doing right now. And that's it. And then we'll take all of that recording and we'll format it to understand what you're doing. So when you start a task or stop a task, you just hit the recorder. So that's the best idea I could come up with for him. And of course, it's working.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, but this guy is so attached to his phone. Now, I don't know about other people in your audience, but most people have their phone with them.
Yeah.
So it helps them. But you're going to stay trapped if you don't identify how you're spending your time. So you need to track your time for a full week, just a week. Every single activity, every interruption, every distraction. But it's just so relevant. And you'll discover that activities that take that you think take 30 minutes actually take 2 hours. When you all of a sudden now you're on your phone, it's 2 hours later, and you thought it was going to be 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
And you realize you're spending your day, 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day on tasks that could be delegated or eliminated.
Totally. It's just like finances too. Like when I was in the investment business, you would do a financial needs analysis.
Right.
And you would always find at the very least, and usually more, $200 a month in ghost money that people can account for. And people with that too, they don't want to do that analysis because they don't really want to know how much they're spending, but that's the only way they're going to get to have more money. And the freedom is the same thing. I did it with brokers that worked for me. When I had a brokerage firm, basically, generally, brokers worked 12 to 16 hours a day at my competition all the time. And I had this viewpoint of, you know what? I've seen what happens as being a broker myself. When you got to work that 12 to 16 hour day, you pace yourself. You don't have any personal free time, so you steal that personal time at work.
Yeah.
And so you're doing personal time at work to stretch out that 12 to 16 hours. What I found out by implementing what I did was by telling my brokers they only had to work an 8-hour day, They would
Yeah.
work in that 8-hour day because they had personal time. They didn't have to steal personal time. And that goes for business owners. Listen,
Good point.
whatever you do as a business owner, yes, you tend to be a slave to your business, but that doesn't get you anywhere because it inhibits you from moving upward and forward. And you need to have you time. And we all do it. I do it. I'm guilty of it. There's times that I don't even go anywhere all week because I'm too busy working morning till night. And I sit there and say, well, isn't that dumb? Because I could probably get all that stuff done still and have personal time for me. And I would be more motivated, have more energy because I had the freedom of me time.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And so, the goal of the time audit isn't to micromanage every minute. The goal is to just gain awareness of where your time is actually going versus where you think it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't fix what you don't measure. It's just another reason why you do the time audit. But the second pillar is priority alignment. This is where most business owners completely miss the mark because they try to manage their time without first clarifying their priorities. And this is where I go back to what we wrote about in our book, Dean, and what we talked about. God, I think it was one of our first shows where the 80-20 rule comes in, where 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of what you do every day. And that 20% was broken out in a 7-step pathway to profit formula. And I'm just going to quickly review those. You can go back to that show because I think the show's called the 80-20 rule or something to that effect. But it's lead generation, attracting your ideal customer, conversion optimization, converting those leads into your sales process, closing rate improvement, enrolling more prospects into your product or services, customer retention, which is very well ignored, keeping the customer you have.
Which
Number
I never
five,
get that, why people ignore that. That's
they ignore that. That's the biggest.
Easiest.
Yeah, that's the biggest one that's ignored. That's the biggest one.
Wow.
We all think that once we get a customer, we get to keep them by default. And then the fifth is average dollar, increasing that average dollar, so increasing the transaction value. The sixth is frequency of sale, getting customers to buy more often. And then, of course, we have to control our costs, both fixed and variable costs. And if you're not spending the majority of time of your strategic time working on these 7 areas, you're missing 80% of your revenue potential.
Yeah.
So that was pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is calendar control. So your calendar is essentially your life. If someone else controls your calendar, they control your life. And if urgent tasks control your calendar, then urgency controls your life.
Yeah.
And you don't control your calendar where if you don't control your calendar, chaos controls your life. So for whatever reason, the calendar, that's why I say the calendar is your life. And the rule is simple. If it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. This means time blocking your priorities before you schedule anything else. I had to learn this. So every space in my calendar is blocked at the start of a day. I might only have 2 meetings, but every space is blocked with the priorities that I have to address. This is part of my growth and development, and part of me learning how to schedule freedom. And it means protecting that strategic time like you would protect a meeting with your most important client. That's the key. And so most business owners fill their calendars with reactive activities and then wonder why they never get any proactive work done. Strategic business owners just do the opposite. They protect their proactive time and fit reactive time around that.
Yeah.
And so the 4th pillar is what I call distraction. And I know I'm running out of time here.
But you can keep going. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's important.
Okay. So the 4th pillar is distraction management. Those distractions are not random events that happen to you. They're predictable interruptions that you can systematically prevent or manage. See, the average business owner gets interrupted every 11 minutes. Imagine that. Every 11 minutes.
I do imagine that every single day.
I mean, that means they never get deep into the strategic work. So you need to identify your most common distractions and build those systems first, as we talked about earlier, to manage them. And is it employees who interrupt you with questions that they should know how to answer? Is it building better training? Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the other thing. Some employees just like to play it safe, so they ask the boss, right? That's a safe way to get.
You know what I do in that situation?
Yeah, tell me.
I have learned my lesson, and I will not answer the phone first. 5 minutes later, I kid you not, never mind, I figured it out.
Oh, God.
Because especially nowadays, people's
idea.
First thing is to ask somebody or even ask Google,
Right.
It's not to think, and to sit there and go, well, what should I do without asking? And then when I don't respond right away, it forces them to have to think, and then they come up with the answer.
Unbelievable. And so the fifth pillar is self-care and personal time. This is the pillar that most business owners sacrifice first, and it's a mistake that destroys everything else. You cannot build a sustainable business if you're running on empty. You cannot make good strategic decisions if you're exhausted, stressed out, burned out, whatever you want to call it. So self-care isn't selfish, it's strategic. Taking care of your physical health, mental well-being, relationships, they all make you more effective, not less effective. So a rested, energized, focused business owner will accomplish more in 6 strategic hours than an exhausted owner will accomplish in 12 chaotic hours.
No doubt.
And so you have to schedule time for exercise and family time, not because you have leftover time, but because these activities fuel the energy and creativity that you need to excel your business.
What's funny about that too is, that when you say the family time, the way I am now is the same as I was before I had kids. And basically what that message is when I did have kids growing up, that I scheduled family time. And guess what? I was just thinking about it, like just this morning, I was thinking about, it was amazing that I got through everything I did, and business was so successful by working less than I ever had.
Amazing. Yeah. It's amazing how that can work.
That's why that freedom's so important. And we think we don't have it, and we think our business is going to fall apart. We think we're not going to get clients. And what you really find out is you get a lot more by scheduling your freedom, because not only do you have your freedom, but you have your energy, you have your mindset, and you have everything else to make your life not stressful and happy instead.
Right. Absolutely.
So great words from you. And I want to hear more great words. So let's tell everybody how they can reach out to you and get more information on this, but many other subjects, and even help for their business, because you do help businesses. You're not just a guest on my podcast. It's not, right. So let's let them know how to dig in.
Okay. Just go to nextstepcfo.net. And you can download a free copy, a free copy of my book called Powerful Business Strategies. Frog in my throat here. Sorry, Dean. And so what we also love to do is we love to interview business owners. It's our favorite thing in the world, because we keep writing additional additions to our book, because business is always changing. So you go to nextstepcfo.com/contact. Fill out the contact form in the message section, write book interview. And the way the book interview works, it's at 60 minutes on Zoom. I present strategies from my book. I simply ask you what you believe would be the impact of that strategy should a business owner implement it in your industry. Then I document it for the book. And by the way, all the things that I talk about, I provide clarity, a step-by-step roadmap. I help you upgrade your skills. I help develop your mindset, and I also optimize your environment. So all of those things is what I work towards. And we're about implementation. I never say that we're business coaches. First of all, we're CFOs that understand strategic implementation, because implementing strategies is where it's at. It's not learning them. You can learn anything on Google, like you said, or AI.
There you go. Well, yes, you are a master at the powerful business strategies, and I'm glad you're on our show every week, and you'll be on again next week, so everybody's got to tune in. If you've missed any other episodes before, go to the back catalog and check them out. These are key secrets to your success, and they're right here for you on the Adventures of Pipeman. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me, Dean.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.